This podcast is produced by OnPod, a video content studio near you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are here with Susan Alsembach. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. So you are the founder of Understanding Nutrition. You've lived and worked all over the world. Mm-hmm. How has this international background shaped your perspective on health, wellness, and nutrition?
That's actually something I never thought of until I knew we were coming here today. I think it's given me a really broad perspective when it comes to nutrition, in not pigeonholing people or the way that we eat into a specific way of thinking and eating and regarding food. So it's kind of taking into consideration the cultural differences, that food can mean different things, meal can mean different things in cultures. That was a big eye-opener to me when we moved. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, because I saw in your profile you were from Switzerland. If I think of like eating in Canada and America, I feel like they're kind of similar. Yeah. It's a lot more fast food, I think. Yeah. Do you have to talk to your clients in a different way and figure out how to change those? It's almost like a habit that people build with food, right? That's hard to break.
Yeah, 100%. And it's understanding their background. I have a lot of clients that move over here from Iran, from Morocco, from all sorts of countries, and they come here and I can understand kind of where they're coming from, because that was one of when I knew we were moving over here, although we'd lived in other countries, I have to admit I did question a little bit how and what we were going to eat. Just in terms of like habits, I knew where to go for my groceries. I knew how the shops were laid out. And over here, it is a little overwhelming at the beginning because, you know, the grocery stores are so big. Mm-hmm. And I know none of the brands. And so you really do kind of have to find your footing again, right? You can't just walk in and grab something. And staple ingredients that you've always used, some of them just don't exist. And so you're like, how do I work around this?
Mm-hmm. And also the regulations on food are a lot different.
They are. That was a little, The whole GMO thing did stress me out a little bit. I have to admit. I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So I think it's helped me understand the struggles that they go through too, right? Because if somebody's come from Iran and they're used to being able to buy a lot of fresh spices and they're able to cook their meals in a certain way, and suddenly they come here and it's a lot harder for them maybe to find those kinds of spices or the freshness of them, or even like the vegetables that they're used to cooking with are different. And so it's helping them and guiding them in different ways that maybe they can look at the accessibility of the vegetables we have here and how they can maybe integrate them, right? So it's helping them kind of do that transition and maybe blend a little bit of, you know, North American eating with more sort of, you know, where they come from, Iran, Morocco, wherever that may be. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. It's super fun.
Yeah, change, adapt, and then I'm sure you learn new recipes to make things as well. So that makes things interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Nice. What inspired you to transition from nursing into nutrition and health?
It was actually a health concern in my family. My daughter wasn't well, and I was actually nursing at the time. And so being a good nurse, we went through the whole medical system, did all these tests, and they kept telling me she's fine, she'll grow out of it. It just didn't feel right. She wasn't well, she was waking up. So, you know, she'd wake up at night crying, and I'm like, a child doesn't do that just for attention, and that they're not well. Yeah. And so having exhausted all kind of medical options, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith. And I went to a naturopath. It was through talking with her that it really opened my eyes to what nutrition can start to do. Because as soon as we took certain things out and replaced them, with time, she was fine. And that was, quite a contradictory phase for me, because I was working actually in a day cancer unit. So here I was preparing chemos to put, you know, in IVs to give to patients and clients. And then suddenly I come home and my daughter's not well. And I was kind of like, this is odd. Like, I'm putting these products into people, and yet my daughter's not well because of the food we're eating.
Mm-hmm. And that could be very stressful too. Like, you take care of people all day. You have that emotional load of trying to treat people. And then you come home and your daughter's experiencing the exact same problems. Like, what kind of effect did that have on you?
Well, you feel helpless. You really do. You don't know what you're doing wrong. You and we were eating normally at the time. Like, we weren't. And I can remember her pediatrician at the time, because in Europe you have pediatricians, was saying to me she needs to eat more vegetables. And I'm like, I don't know how I can get more vegetables into this. Like, we eat plenty. And that was his solution. And I just thought that's not helping me, right?
Yeah, for sure. Plus, she's 7 years old.
She's 7 years old.
Did she
like,
not like some of these foods? Like, I'm sure it was hard for her to accommodate that.
Well, this is it. And when 7-year-olds deal with pain very differently than adults. And that is also what's confusing, because a 7-year-old can cope with pain well, in terms of they can be happy and playing. And then if they're not distracted and busy, then they're aware of their pain again. And so that as a parent is really confusing, because you're like, well, actually, like, you know, your child, you're like, are you okay or not? So, and it was just, I said, when we then went to that naturopath, I just thought, wow, there's something to this, right? Here I am, having gone through this whole medical system. Nobody had any answers for me. And then here's somebody's giving me something concrete that I can actually try, adapt, work with. And it wasn't fun to start with, because there's lots of things I had to kind of change. But when I saw that it actually made her better, I'm like, okay, I'm all in.
Yeah, you really have to figure out what to rule out too. And it's a long process, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is it. And so that's kind of what really opened my eyes to it. I thought, wow, there's actually another way of looking after people. Good. Right? It doesn't just have to be in the medical field.
Yeah, it's nice to specialize. Like, there's specializations for a reason, and it's great to seek out an expert in that area. So,
exactly.
So on another note from that, nutrition is a very easy target to spread misinformation with. Like, you see it, especially if you're on TikTok or social media or anything. Like, there's like 20 different types of diets, and everybody says like, this diet works the best for me. And all these medical papers say differently, or it's hard to read. What do you want to kind of put into more concrete words? Like, how do you determine what is right for your clients, despite what the research may say or not say?
I'd say it's really taking into account each person's individual story. So yes, the science definitely backs up a lot of the work that I do, but it's definitely understanding their lifestyle, their story, their health history, taking into account their genetics, as I said, they're set up as a family. And with that, you're able to get to the root cause, right? What factors are coming together to make that this person is feeling like this, right? So you're not just looking at the food, you're looking holistic, you really are looking globally, outside and in, right?
Yeah, that could be very hard too, though. Like, especially if someone does come from a background of eating all these foods, and maybe you can connect right away that like, you do have a health history of this, and you have a history of eating this. So maybe we have to rule out with those specific first, or like, is there a way that you can kind of streamline things, or what do you first look at to get your first biggest clue with what will work?
My first biggest clue is really them telling me everything. Okay. I literally will get my clients to talk to me about the moment they get up till the moment they go to bed, because the clues are hidden in what's happening in their day. Right. And it's through listening to that, and then looking at their health history and looking at the issues that they're dealing with, that you can slowly start to join the dots. Right. So each person's puzzle is going to be different, because everybody's genetics is different. People's lifestyle vary, either dramatically or just a tiny bit. And it's really taking that into account. So yes, 100%, I'm looking 100% at the foods that they're eating, but it's taking those factors into account and really kind of going, okay, this is happening in your day. You're feeling like this at this time. And it's helping them understand as well how these things accumulate over time or in their day.
So you also look at genetics as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you get like an actual lab report, or how do you do that?
Some people come to me with lab reports, but it's more understanding, when we're talking of genetics, it's more understanding if somebody has a lot of inflammation in their family, if somebody is more at risk of cardiovascular disease, if somebody is more at risk of type 2 diabetes. And it's helping them understand that that genetic factor is there, but depending on what their concern is, we can mitigate it. We can even sometimes reverse certain issues. So like type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, with time, these are often, we can manage them well and get somebody back to like a normal state. with lifestyle and nutritional changes. But it takes time, and people do have to be a little bit patient. It's not a magic pill that you can take, right? It really is understanding a little bit better how their bodies work. That's a huge part of my work. And then helping them relate that to the external factors. So to the foods that they're eating, to the time of day that they're eating maybe, or anything else that might be happening that will impact that.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that a lot of the time people find it hard to take away certain foods from their diets? Like, do you find that some foods have more of an addictive pull over other foods? And how can people relate to this food makes me feel bad, so I have to cut it out in the moment while they're eating or about to eat?
I think it depends. It depends on the motivation the person has. Most clients that I work with are motivated, right? That's why they're coming to see me. Mm-hmm. So I always try and say to my clients, look, we may, for a short amount of time, or maybe a longer amount of time, need to remove certain things, but we can always replace them. And I think that's always helpful. Mm-hmm. So often clients think, oh, well, I can't eat sweet things. And one of the things we often talk about is sweet things aren't bad for you, but it's where the sweetness comes from. And so just having that awareness, just having that little bit of information can actually make a big difference for them, because suddenly they have that knowledge and they have that choice, right? Do I actually want to buy this product and eat it if I know this is going to, the impact it's going to have on me? Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's really what I try and do through my work is give people choice. It's like, look, this is the information. This is what's happening to you. You're sensing it. You're living it every day. I'm helping you join those dots. And then it's giving you that, I don't really like to say power, but sort of, it's that, I think as consumers as well, it's important to know what we're eating. So once they start to understand that better, then they're like, okay, now I have a choice, right? This is how I can eat to feel better. Mm-hmm. And if I eat like this, well, I know I won't feel great. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do?
Yeah. For sure. And I know it's hard. Like, I struggle with eating sugar for sure. But having the choice, like, to fix the habit, you can't really just take it all together. You can't replace it.
There's going to be a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing I find if I've worked with people that have followed like really specific and rigid diets.
Okay.
Paleo, keto. For some people, it works great. Generally speaking, I find over time, people get tired, they get stressed by it because it is this very rigid way of looking at food. Mm-hmm. And so there is that knee-jerk reaction of right now I'm going to go out and eat all the carbs I can because I haven't eaten them for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Right.
And then it puts you in a cycle, right?
Exactly. Right. So it's really trying to get away from that and help people understand really how food can actually help them. Right. So we're not talking about the highly processed things, but there's often this, people say, oh, well, can I still eat carrots? And I'm like, yes, because they've done diets where, things are given a point value.
Oh, right.
And so, something like Weight Watchers, they put points on food. I don't know exactly into it. So, but it plays on people's minds. And then so, normal fruits and vegetables, suddenly instead of them being just that, mm-hmm. some of them can have a negative value for people because they're like, well, suddenly I was told I couldn't eat this before. And I'm like, well, unless there's a very specific health reason why, mm-hmm. there's a problem with your kidneys. We need to keep an eye on certain, mineral levels in your body, then you can eat them.
Great. But you focus on that as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's good to always bring it back to the fact that we are bodies and it needs food to run. So
100%. Yeah.
Great. Amazing. Now you've combined traditional medical knowledge with holistic alternative therapies. How does this integrative approach inform the way you support your clients today?
I think it helps them to know that the information I share with them is scientific based. Mm-hmm. It has to be. Otherwise it's not going to work. But then it kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's really looking at the person and acknowledging that everybody's different. Mm-hmm. We all have a different genetic makeup. Our bodies essentially function in the same way, but the fine tuning's different. Mm-hmm. So the work that I do, if you want, is more that fine tuning. Say, okay, this is what your lifestyle's like. This is your age. Because again, as we age, our needs change. They vary. And, men and women, I'd say is slightly more prominent for women. We have to be aware of that, right? We have to respect that and work with it and really pay attention to that. So it's taking that science and then say, okay, how can this be applied to that person in this situation without putting them on a diet?
Yeah, it's reminding me of an episode of House or something like that,
Yeah.
Right? You have to because there's this huge broad question that you have. There's little specific things that you have to pay attention to. And then you really have to, with food, you never know because there is so many additives and different things that you have to go through to.
And because we are all genetically different, we don't all respond to the same foods in the same way. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think diets, that's why in the long run, they just don't always work. As I said, for some, brilliant. But for others, they do these diets and then they feel really bad because they feel like, oh, I didn't do it properly or there's something wrong with me. And I'm like, well, actually, let's dial that back. There's nothing wrong with you. This just wasn't the right way of eating for you.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's a weird system and everything is, you know.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Yeah. Could you actually give us an example of a client that you had and you helped them unravel the health puzzle to get that end result of feeling better?
Yeah, there's
I'm sure you have
many. But one that springs to mind is it was somebody who, a young man came to me and he said, but I eat well. And he, I think, was from Morocco. And they have a very starch-based diet on the whole. So lots of grains, lots of different types of starches that they have in their diet there. So their vegetables and things like that. And it was helping him understand how to use them in his day, that sometimes we don't have to have too many. And it was really plus he was an engineer. So it was quite out at the beginning. I thought, oh, how's he going to take to, yes, we have the science information, but then this aspect of relating it to you as an individual.
Okay.
And I was a little, not concerned, but I thought, okay, I'm not sure how he's going to
you got to
take this information. Yeah. Is he going to understand what I'm trying to say to him? That this is, this is the science and now we're going to personalize this to your needs. Mm-hmm. And within 3 months, we had his cholesterol back down to normal levels and he'd actually regained his energy. He'd started going to the gym because he had more energy. And it was just so nice to see, right, that he took on board everything we talked about. He made the changes. I'm never the one to make the changes. I suggest, I support, I guide, but I'm not that person at home doing all those things, right? And so the credit's entirely to him or to any of my clients because they're the ones doing the work, right? And he was super happy and he was like, I can't believe it was that simple. And I'm like, it really isn't that complicated once you understand how the body functions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's even more difficult if you are a young person, you don't really know why something like that is happening. Like cholesterol that's high can be something that you associate with, other things. But yeah. So that's good that you kind of guide back to the status quo of what a body's supposed to react like.
Well, this is it. And I think it was just nice for him to see because he was quite concerned. He was young and he said, I don't want to go on statins. And I'm like, well, there's no real reason why you should. Mm-hmm. But my doctor, and I'm like, look, I appreciate what your doctor said and I fully respect it. Let's do this and see where you go, right? See what happens. And he was just like, wow. And I'm like, yeah. Really not that complicated.
Nice. Now, because high cholesterol is a very common issue,
yes,
along with digestive discomfort and maybe blood sugar levels. Mm-hmm. What small sustainable changes can people try if they're struggling with these concerns?
I would say one of the main thing would be to switch to whole grains.
Okay.
So whole wheat products, things like that are really probably your best friend. I mean, there's others, but that would be one of the main things people can do.
So getting brown bread instead of white bread actually works.
Yeah, it really does.
Okay.
And it's understanding how to use them through the day. But yes, it really it is not an old wives' tale. It really does actually work. And there's you look at the chemistry behind it, it actually makes, again, scientifically, it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, just that small thing can make a big difference.
Okay, good.
Although a lot of people fight it because they're like, it's not nice. And I'm like, actually, when you get used to it, it actually has more flavor. Mm-hmm. Than anything that's white and refined, which is kind of ironic because people just assume that it has no flavor. And I'm like, it actually has more.
Yeah.
When you stop to pay attention, right?
No, that's totally true. It's funny, like growing up, my mom was the same. She's like, always buy brown bread. And I was like, I went through a phase. I was like, oh, I need some white bread. And then I actually just changed back because it does taste better.
It will fill you
remember
up.
Remember that.
This is it. It really does. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works.
Pick up the brown bread, guys.
Pick up the brown bread.
Nice. Now, how do you help clients find energy and balance without spending hours in the kitchen or giving up their favorite foods or morning coffee?
I think it's helping people understand food doesn't have to be complicated, right? I think people, especially now with social media, and you see people on like TikTok and Instagram preparing all these crazy meals and they're absolutely beautiful and they're stunning. My meals do not look like that, but they're good, they're tasty, they're simple. So it's going back to basics, is doing simple dishes with just basic ingredients that can take 15, 20 minutes. And so you are not slaving in the kitchen. So it again kind of comes back to that. What's their lifestyle like? Do they like cooking? Do they not like cooking? How much time are they willing to spend preparing a meal? Because that's super important. So it's really just tuning into that and saying, okay, right, well, these are different options. We can look at things like one pan dishes. We can look at things like slow cooker meals. We can look at things like, you know, just an omelet with some vegetables in it, right? This could be just some really basics. And people have preconceptions about what meals should be. Mm-hmm. So breakfast should be this, you know, lunch should be that, dinner should be that. And I'm like, when we're adults, we can actually choose what those meals should be, right? And so if I want to have a sandwich for dinner and it's a good sandwich, I'm going to have it, right? And helping people think outside that box.
Okay.
Right.
Do you have like a favorite meal that you recommend to people that's quick to do, has all the elements of nutrition and most people really enjoy?
I'd say beans on toast. Okay. It's very English, but
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's literally, I mean, legumes, beans, right, are one of the most nutritious foods around, full of fiber. So it's great for our blood sugars, gut control, things like that. And the ones, unfortunately, that we buy in the store are full of sugars.
Right.
So it's literally just taking a couple of those mixed tins. I rinse them. I put them in a pan with some garlic, some onion, just warm them up, cook them through, and then add that passata sauce, you know, the muti you can find at Costco.
Yeah.
The big glass jars.
Tomato jar, yeah.
Yeah. Put a bit of that in, maybe a bit of cumin, like whatever spices people like, and just a little bit like of maple syrup of honey, because it takes the acidity out of the tomato sauce, right? So it's not too acidic, because that's what they do in the stores, that they put way more.
Yeah.
So you can just put a little bit in and, I don't know, 10 minutes and you've got a ready-made meal.
Okay. So what you're saying as well is it's better to go with whole foods than refined foods that are full of sugar. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
100%.
We'll keep that in mind too. Now, what are some common misconceptions about holistic nutrition and healthy eating that you'd like to set straight, especially coming from your background of like being in a naturopath? Maybe sometimes people don't see the true value in that rather than say like actual medicine. What would you say to them?
I'd say that nutrition is much broader than what people think. I really look at it from a perspective more of eating well rather than healthy, because I think sometimes this whole healthy connotation puts a lot of stress on people. And, you know, even in the healthy aisle, I hate to say it, there are products I just wouldn't buy, which people don't always realize, right? They think they can trust the labels. And that's one of the things, again, that we, you know, that I work on with my clients, is helping them read the labels, understand what it really means for them. And so, you know, really going back more to a notion of eating well, you know, and kind of taking that information to them on an individual level.
Okay. Yeah. Just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's not full of fillers.
Exactly. Well, this is it, right? And you kind of hit the nail on the head there. There are a lot of products where if it says, you know, reduce salt, then they've put something else in, because if they've taken the salt out, they have to still make it taste good. Right. And I have seen a lot of these healthy products and I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Healthy for who? Yeah. What
healthy for the company, but not for you.
Very true. Yeah. Remember their main goal.
Yeah. This is it.
Yeah. It's too bad, really. For listeners who want to take their first steps towards finding their personal health balance, what's a simple thing they could do today?
Hydrate.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's a lot of the issues sometimes with people. Again, nutrition, hydration go hand in hand.
Okay.
So a lot of people are actually dehydrated most of the time, to a greater or lesser extent.
Okay. So that is, you need water to uptake nutrients.
You need water for just about every single cellular activity in the body.
Right. We're 70% water.
So, your brain bathes in a fluid, your cerebrospinal fluid. It goes down your spinal column. If we're dehydrated, that fluid is not going to be working as efficiently as it should.
Okay.
Right? When you go to take blood, they often say to you, make sure you've had some water beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Got to circulate everything through the body.
Exactly.
Okay.
So hydration is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's something I talk a lot about with my clients.
That's good. It's
Yeah.
nice to know the background. I like that. Now I'm going to stand up straighter so we get that fluid
So
down
the
there.
fluid
But
can work.
sometimes people say hydrate and you're like, well, then I'm going to have to pee every 20 minutes. But it's actually worth it if you think about
Well, it is. And again, the more you drink, the more your bladder gets used to it. And so you don't end up peeing every 20 minutes.
Okay. That's good too.
It's a muscle.
Okay.
You can work it.
I haven't gotten there yet, but we're trying. Maybe it's all in the mindset.
Could be.
Yeah. Where can listeners connect with you or learn more about your holistic approach to health and nutrition?
So I have my website, susanalsembach.com. And we are also launching, kind of talking a little bit about the mindfulness and the awareness of how and what we eat. I've combined my work with a mindfulness coach. So we've actually created a method called Bites of Bliss. There's a website, if people are interested, called bitesofblisscourse.com.
Mm-hmm.
We are starting that on the 2nd of November, so next Monday. So again, it's kind of taking a very similar approach, but really adding more the mindfulness aspect to it. So to help people understand that we can make sustainable changes, right? We're looking at things like neuroplasticity, so habits, small habit changes over time, which is kind of what I do on my own. But with my colleague, Mariana, it's much more powerful. So
that's really neat. I think that goes back to my self-control thing. Like people do have self-control when it comes to food a lot of the time. And it is because of social media and all of these restrictions that are placed on us that we just want to overturn because it is a lot of pressure.
It is.
That's a great place to bring back to mindfulness.
This is it. And it's much more about, often I say to my clients, it's about tuning in, right? We become reliant on apps and everything else to tell us how we're feeling.
Yeah.
But we're not actually taking just 20 seconds to go, actually, how do I feel? Like physically, am I feeling good? What's my energy like? So it's really kind of going back into that and helping people understand that we can actually do so much for ourselves.
Amazing. Is there any one person that changed your life perspective or direction?
That I know or that I follow?
Either one works.
I'd say, oh gosh, there are several doctors that I follow on social media that have been very informative in, I would say, encompassing the work that I do. Because until about 5 years ago, the medical field would look at nutrition and think it's a bit of a farce, right? Nutritionists were kind of looked at as a bit of a kind of a woohoo kind of, do you really know what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, we do. So it's nice now to see that the medical field is actually backing us up and that a lot of the science that we had beforehand is now actually being talked about by the medical profession. And for that, I am so thankful.
Good. And doing it properly as well, because there's a lot of brands that do control a lot of our food intake can manipulate studies in a way that makes their product look better.
Exactly.
So it's good to bring it back to what's better for the people and exactly what you do.
Not better for the dollars.
Yeah,
the companies.
Exactly. One more time. What's the course called?
bitesofblisscourse.com is the website.
Okay. bitesofblisscourse.com. I'm excited to check it out.
Okay. Please do.
Thank you so much for today's
Thank you for having me.
Very informative.